Welcome in, everybody. Happy Monday morning. Hope you had a wonderful weekend aside from the Phillies, right? All right. But Kelly Green debuted since the last time you and I talked, so we can talk about that. Hopefully, we'll talk about that for the 59 minutes. Let's talk about that for 59 minutes, maybe spend 1 minute on the Phillies. Welcome in. My name is Mark Farzy. This is the Farzy Show presented by Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Doing the Jacob Media Fightins post-game show, all right, covering the Philadelphia Phillies, having conversations with you beautiful people. I don't get to watch the press conferences right out of the gate. Like, I got to wait till after the show. Sometimes I'm lucky and I'll see a tweet, or a lot of times you guys, you great commenters, you will just put the tweet or put the comment right in there from what Rob Thompson said after the game. And last night, the regular viewer, Babs, Barbara Carroll, love you, Babs, she put in there that Rob Thompson said that there was a tummy ache. That's Christopher Sanchez had a stomach ache, and that was the reason why he couldn't go on pitching. So I, of course, like many of you, went on to Twitter during the game yesterday, during the Phillies' 6-4 10-inning loss to the Pirates that marked 2 of 3 losses in Pittsburgh. I went on Twitter and or X, whatever the hell, and I went on social media and I just said 73 pitches, 73, like multiple times. I just didn't understand. 73 pitches. I didn't want to put it into the stratosphere that when a pitcher gets pulled abruptly in a no-hit bid, with a 2-0 lead, I don't want to put it out there into the universe that he might be injured. So I asked, why? There was no wincing. There was nothing that would lead you to believe that he was hurt, other than the fact that he was, or not 100% healthy, that he was pulled out of the game at 73 pitches in a no-hit bid, in a Pirates game against the Pirates, we're trying to win, the series. There's nothing that indicated that it would be health. So I put it out there on Twitter that it was 73 pitches. So then I see after the game, people telling me, it's because he had a stomach ache. And then after the game, so that's the narrative that I know a lot of people are still on right now when they're waking up on this Monday morning, when they're checking their feeds, when they're watching shows. I know right now people listening, people watching, even listening to the podcast later. Hello, people on the podcast. They're going into it with the idea that, the reason he was out is because he had a stomach bug. He was ill. He was sick all day. That is wrong, all right? That is a narrative that is now being pushed along. I listened to Rob Thompson. This is where, if you read headlines, if you read articles, if you just listen to a specific or a narrative that's being pushed, that is not why he was taken out of the game. If that was why, if that was the reason definitively as to why he was taken out of the game, then Rob Thompson after the game yesterday would have said, when he was asked the question, why was he taken out? Well, he was sick all day, and there was just he couldn't go any further. That is not what was said after the game. When he was asked why Christopher Sanchez was taken out of the game, why he took Christopher Sanchez out of the game, Rob Thompson said, well, there were a number of reasons. And it was like he was setting the table for everyone to understand that it wasn't just because of the stomach bug, it wasn't just because of a pitch count, but it was mainly because he had 15 pitches left. That's what Rob Thompson said after the game. Of the number of reasons why. And when he was asked about why he took him out of the game and if he wasn't hurt, or excuse me, if he didn't have a stomach ache, would he have kept Christopher Sanchez in the game? And he kind of said, maybe. Like, the bottom line was because of the pitch count. Above all else, Christopher Sanchez. Let's go to the smoking gun here. Christopher Sanchez said after the game he wanted to stay in. He could have stayed in, but the manager wanted to keep his health as number one priority. And I don't think when he says health, because Rob Thompson says health about, Aaron Nola. When Aaron Nola was pitching that no-hit bid against the Tigers, and eventually, of course, blew it with the Mayton home run, he said after the game, I wasn't going to risk his health. He already had a high pitch count. He wasn't going to put him out there for the ninth inning, I believe it was, anyway. So that's health to Rob Thompson. Health doesn't just mean a belly ache, okay? A tummy ache in this case. Christopher Sanchez said he couldn't give you one more inning. So look, I'm going to say this right now. The no-hitter with Christopher Sanchez was not going to happen. He was not throwing a no-hitter. Christopher Sanchez's pitch count is not something to brag about. He does not go deep into ball games. Now, either that's because the Phillies just don't feel like he is ready to go deep into ball games, or they don't feel like his arm is strong enough to hit 100 pitches. His season high, his career high in pitches is 92. And he was just coming off that, and go figure, a great start against the Baltimore Orioles, to which the Phillies, of course, ended up losing that game anyway. But that was a 4-hit, 2-earned run performance over 7 innings, 92 pitches thrown in his last start. So he's coming off a career high in pitches thrown of 92. So he goes into this game. He's at 73 pitches. But not only was he at 73 pitches, he was just coming off probably his most efficient inning of the game, throwing 8 pitches in the 5th inning. So I'm looking at it and going, I actually was on the same page with Rob Thompson saying he's probably got 15 to 20 pitches left if they're gonna push him. So the no-hitter, to say it was a no-hit bid, yes, he did not allow a hit. I do agree with Rob Thompson. It was still not one of his best starts in that he hit 3 guys, he walked 2 guys. So although he didn't, give up a hit, he still allowed 5 base runners. So yeah, it wasn't still the sharpest 5 innings, but still, it was 5 scoreless. The bottom line was that it was 5 scoreless. So I know people are going to invoke the no-hitter thing a lot. It was during a no-hit bid. Christopher Sanchez and Rob Thompson said point blank, verbatim, yesterday said he wasn't getting a no-hitter. He didn't have enough pitches left. And I agree with him. I hate that fact about baseball nowadays that a guy has a no-hitter going. You're like, oh, get him the hell out of there, right? So if his pitch count wasn't this high, he would have stayed in. If the top of the order wasn't coming around, and Rob Thompson also mentioned that after the game. Well, the top of the order, he had about 15 pitches left. Oh yeah, and the stomach ache. Yeah, he wasn't going to pitch. I think it's atrocious. I think if the pitcher wants to go out there, and the pitcher is coming off his most efficient inning of the ball game, then you leave him in the game. Now, I am not upset over the fact that you didn't see a no-hitter yesterday. I'm not upset at the idea that the manager said thanks but no thanks to a guy throwing a no-hitter and took him out of the game. He wasn't going to get a no-hitter. So let me agree with Rob Thompson and the analytics people on this. He wasn't getting a no-hitter. We weren't going to see a no-hitter yesterday by Christopher Sanchez, unfortunately. Maybe you'd see a combined no-hitter if you believe in that sort of thing. I'm not a big fan of it, but no hits is no hits. So Christopher Sanchez gets taken out of the game. Here's what I'm upset about. It could not have gone worse. Could not have gone worse after you took him out of the ballgame. I mean, sure, you could have had 10 runs in that inning, but Sir Anthony Dominguez comes into that ballgame, immediately allows the first batter to get a single, next batter home run. Tie ball game, 2-2. You haven't even recorded it out yet without Christopher Sanchez. So it was the wrong decision, without a shadow of a doubt, to pull Christopher Sanchez. Here's how I know. The 2 things. One, first and foremost, the smoking gun. Christopher Sanchez saying, yeah, I could have gone back out there. I wanted to go back out there. Rob Thompson said, no, you stay right there. The other reason is if he really was being held out of the game because he was so sick. Now, when I went into the postgame and I after the postgame and I listened to Rob Thompson and what he had to say, I was expecting, there was no way. He was sick all day. He gutted out those 5 innings, and I wasn't going to make him pitch another inning. He was just so sick. That's what I was expecting, something along those lines. Not anything to do with having 15 pitches left specifically. Nothing to do with the top of the order coming around again. Nothing to do with, the fact that he has hit 3 guys or he allowed 2 walks. Nothing. Oh, and by the way, I had a stomach. I did not expect the other factors to play into it for Rob Thompson. I did not expect that. I expected him to say, it was because he was sick. And that was it. Leave it at that. The fact that he didn't leave it at that, the fact that the other things factored into it, makes it the 1,000,000,000% the wrong decision to pull him. And it's not about a no-hitter. It's about winning a ball game. It's about winning a series against the lowly Pittsburgh Pirates. You didn't want to start Bryson Stott in this game. I know everyone up and down. Bryson Stott should be played every day. Hey, I wish. I've told you guys multiple times. My mom's family's from Baltimore. Nobody appreciates the consecutive games and playing every day more so than someone like me. I worship it. I love it. But it's not the way the game is played. Just like if Christopher Sanchez had a no-hitter after 6 innings and you pulled him, I could have seen that coming. Because they weren't going to make him pitch 100 pitches. It's just the way the game's played nowadays. Guys get days off. The Philadelphia Phillies should be able to beat the Pittsburgh Pirates without Bryson Stott in the lineup for one day. It shouldn't come down to that. They didn't lose this game necessarily because Bryson Stott didn't play. Hey, who knows? Maybe he steps up there, gets a clutch hit. You know, you get a 4-4 ball game. Maybe he breaks it up. Maybe he helps the Phillies take the lead at another point in the game. You know, maybe he's, you know, just having an overall better player in there helps your odds to win, obviously. Okay, let's concede that point. But they lost this game because they pulled their starter who had not allowed a hit in the 5th inning and was coming off his most efficient inning. They lost the game because of that. They lost the game because they had a 2-error 7th inning. They lost the game because they couldn't get that clutch hit in the 10th inning, despite having runners on second and, oh, God. Second and third with no outs. And then they botched the base running. That's why they lost this game. The manager did have a big hand in it, and you don't want your manager to have a big hand in a loss. He had a huge hand in the loss against the Pirates. This Phillies team swept the Tampa Bay Rays, one of the best teams in baseball all season long. This Philadelphia Phillies team took 2 of 3 from the Orioles, who were first place in the AL East. A team that's been like red hot other than times they play the Phillies, apparently. And the Phillies can't go out there and at least take 2 of 3 from the Pirates. What the hell is that? Why? And base running blunders they had on Saturday night with Aaron Nola on the mound, and he had just put back-to-back starts together that were actually decent for the first time all year. And then they go out there, and Christopher Sanchez again gives you a chance to win. And you go, I think I'm good. And this time I do think it was more the manager than anything else. Bottom line was Christopher Sanchez was finding his way out of innings left and right throughout that ballgame. Finding a way to gut it out, and apparently with a tummy ache nonetheless. And I felt like Rob Thompson overmanaged. And I felt like getting Sir Anthony Dominguez in that time. It was not the right choice. It turned out immediately to not be the right choice. And the Phillies just couldn't do anything after that, especially in the 10th inning, especially in the 7th inning when that ball bounces out. It looked like it bounced off of Sosa's mitt and Turner's mitt. That's Trey Turner's ball. You know what Trey Turner doesn't need right now? Edmundo Sosa trying to cramp any type of rhythm, momentum, or confidence that Trey Turner's trying to build. And the last 2 games, he got 2 hits. That's good. All right, let's start building some more confidence for Trey Turner. Next thing you know, Edmundo Sosa's coming up. What are you doing over here, Eddie? My ball? I don't know what the hell was happening on that play. My only assumption, and Rob Thompson had the same assumption, is that they both were calling for it at the same time. They couldn't hear each other. They were shouting over each other. They didn't know what the other was doing. If you're at Edmundo Sosa, you've played enough third base in your life and enough shortstop in your life to realize that's not your ball. I gotta think that when that play happened in the 7th inning yesterday, I have to think that Trey Turner was like, this is the last thing I needed. I got enough trouble getting it out of my own way. Now Edmundo Sosa's got to get out of my way. Oh, good God, that was terrible. And, of course, the run ended up coming around to score and biting in the ass. So that's the way that played out yesterday. But, man, this feels like just before the trade deadline, tomorrow, by the way, this feels like right now it is the – and it's not, but it feels like it, the low point of the Phillies season. That's what this feels like. Not just losing to the Pirates, but the way you lost to the Pirates and the way the Pirates tried handing you games. They gave you, 8 walks, 7 walks Saturday night? You blow a 3-run lead? Yesterday, Joe can't keep a ball in his mitt at first base, and you get runs out of that? They're spotting your runs? What the hell? Your pitcher has not allowed a hit. And the manager's like, why don't you sit down right here? The bullpen will take care of this. And you know what? The Phillies bullpen's been good, but you know who's dicey right now? You know who's dicey? I mean, Craig Kimbrell has been a little dicey, a little bit, right? Considering, the all-star first half of the season and all that. But you know who's been dicey? Sir Anthony Dominguez. Dicey. He makes me nervous because I don't know what I'm getting from post-IL stint Sir Anthony Dominguez. The control doesn't look there. The velocity doesn't look there. Well, the velocity looks there. The life doesn't look there. I don't get it. And you have a 2-0 lead in the 6th inning, and you went to your bullpen. That just doesn't make any sense. one of the things I know a couple of people were throwing me some other ideas other than, stomach bug during the game before we knew of any of Christopher Sanchez not feeling well. A couple of people mentioned to me, do you think he was traded? And I'm like, well, if he was, it's possible. But if I'm traded, if I'm trading Christopher Sanchez, what kind of helps his trade stock? A no hitter. He wasn't going to get the no hitter. I'll concede that point. But 6 shutout innings, that's good again, right? That's pretty good. It's pretty good. But when Rob Thompson said after the game that he had 15 pitches left, I thought that was about right. That's how they handle Christopher Sanchez. If he was healthy yesterday, I still think they're pulling him at that spot because of the other reasons Rob Thompson mentioned. And that is very worrisome. And all that is why I feel like this is just a low point for the Phillies season. And guess what? Now they got the Miami Marlins. Now they have the Miami Marlins coming into town. And they're going to be facing the Miami Marlins. Or excuse me, they're going to Miami to face the Marlins for a 4-game series. You just lost 2 or 3 to the lowly, not even 50-win Pittsburgh Pirates. And now you're going to be facing a team that you're battling it out in the wild card with in the Marlins. Cool. Tomorrow is the trade deadline, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into this for a second, just in case you had, desires for Jordan Hicks from the Cardinals. Done. He's off the table. He's a name we mentioned last week as a right-handed relief pitcher coming out of the bullpen. Not happening. Jeff Passan putting it out there. The Blue Jays are getting Jordan Hicks. So that's how that goes. You want some bats in the lineup? Forget about it. The Angels, buyers, not sellers. They're getting Randall Grichuk. First baseman C.J. Cron from the Rockies. Grichuk was a guy that was tied to the Phillies for a second. Just as a potential trade piece right there. And let's keep it going right here. You wanted some starting pitching help, maybe a lefty. Rangers, if you thought they were done, oh man, with simply acquiring Max Scherzer, you were wrong. They get Jordan Montgomery and they get Chris Stratton. Good Lord. Cardinals just wheeling and dealing, baby. Wheeling and dealing. But hey, if you want any sense of optimism, this isn't even a report, but I just want to mention it because it just happens to mention the Phillies. John Morrissey put it out there. Trade deadline update. Yankees, Marlins, Blue Jays, Phillies among teams looking at right-handed bats. That's it. That's the only real report here. And then John Morrissey is kind enough to say, well, Pham and Canna, Mets are the ones selling right here. They're selling in the sector of the trade market. So it's not even directly drawing the correlation. It's saying, hey, these are teams that want a right-handed bat. Here's some right-handed bats. That's all it is. These are teams that want right-handed bats. These are teams that have right-handed bats that are selling. It's not, what would be better? Hey, Phillies in discussions with the Mets to acquire Tommy Pham. That would be a report. That would be better. This isn't that. It's close to it. It's sniffing around, but it's not that. So that's where we are right now, ladies and gentlemen. Ain't it fun? Ain't it fun? Let's be happy for just a moment here, shall we? I have been waiting for the Philadelphia Eagles to debut these Kelly Green jerseys for a very, very long time. You have been waiting for the Philadelphia Eagles to debut these Kelly Green jerseys for a very long, long time. And now that they're out, now that people can go to the pro shop and get crazy and buy everything they want to buy at the pro shop with everything they can get there with the Kelly Green, I am a happy man. And these jerseys are fantastic. I can't wait. Jalen Hurts sitting there with his feet up, reading his Game Day magazine with Randall Cunningham on the cover. I love it. It's better than I imagined. And I just really need the date as to when they're going to be wearing these jerseys. And the Eagles, they won the NFL championship in 1960. They won back-to-back championships in 48 and 49. They were wearing the Kelly Green during that time. Since then, the Eagles haven't won anything since donning the Kelly Green jerseys. Yet, for some reason, they make us think of maybe the greatest defensive player ever in Reggie White, one of the most fun, electric players ever in Randall Cunningham. They make us think of that. But as far as overall team success, Oh, no. It doesn't make me think of that. It doesn't make me think of that at all. I was negative 22 years old when the Eagles won the championship in 1960, wearing the Kelly green. So that doesn't mean much to me. Just it's a nice history lesson that I enjoy. A nice story I enjoy hearing being told. So I don't know why we have this draw to the Kelly green jersey. I think it's because of the players we associate with the gangrene defense. I think it's the Reggie White. I think it's Jerome Brown. I think it's Seth Joyner. I think it's those guys. I think it's obviously Randall Cunningham. I think it's Harold Carmichael. I think it's Ron Jaworski. I think it's all guys like that. Eric Allen. That's what I think of. It's not a winning era of football, unfortunately. The Eagles won a Super Bowl in midnight green, and we're still clamoring for Kelly green. Shows you how specific we are as a fan base. But I love it. I can't wait for the day that we actually get to watch this. Now, Josh Sweat, actually, when they say what day they're going to wear them, and hopefully it's more than one. Cross my fingers. But Josh Sweat said yesterday, while during his press conference with the media, that he hopes that the Kelly green jersey was the Eagles jersey for the foreseeable. Like, that should be our jersey. We should wear black sometimes. Not even midnight green. We should wear black sometimes, and the Kelly green should be it. I'm going to say no. I love the Kelly green being a specialized jersey. I love the special occasion jersey. The black jersey, no thanks. All right? I don't like the black jersey. I like the Kelly green jersey. If you're asking me one or the other, if you're saying there's a Thursday night football game, you're saying there's a Monday night football game, it's going to be a blackout, right? I'd rather have the green out. I'd rather have get your Kelly green on. I'd rather have that for the special, huge games than anything else. The Kelly green, above all else for me. When it comes to the special games. The black jerseys, you can throw those away. The midnight green, I don't even mind anymore. They won a Super Bowl in those. I am fine with that. More, as a matter of fact. I'm fine to see that more than the Kelly green. The white jerseys, never got white jerseys. That's fine. But for me, the Kelly green is the way to go. When it's a special occasion, you got the primetime games, even kicking off the season. When they kicked off the season, even though it was a bad luck, your starting quarterback, Kevin Cobb, ended up being a good thing that Michael Vick ended up taking over. Not that Kevin Cobb got hurt. But the last time they wore the Kelly green was that season opener against Green Bay. Kevin Cobb got a concussion. He had the turf stuck to his helmet, stuck to his face mask, and then Michael Vick comes running in and ends up going on his way to a MVP candidacy that season, which was pretty special before that ended prematurely against the Packers in the playoffs when the Packers went on to win the Super Bowl. So that was crazy. But I love it. And I hope it becomes the Eagles' first alternate jersey. I hope it becomes their special occasion jersey. I hope it becomes the jersey that they wear for the big games on Monday nights, on Sunday nights, on Thursday nights, on whatever night. I hope that becomes the jersey that they have to announce before time. They'll just like the way they would. They'll be in their black, right? They're in their Kelly green. I absolutely love it. As far as on the football field, day 3 of training camp, running around the field and all that stuff, I got to say, one of the players that I'm most excited for, I got to listen to over the weekend, and that is Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis talked about the difference between last year and this year. His rookie season and now his sophomore season in the NFL. And the way he was talking about it was like, in the NFL, it's got to be like this. And I don't know if it's like this for every other sport, but it seems like this is the biggest in the NFL. From your rookie year to your second year in the league has got to be a huge difference. And Jordan Davis alluded to that yesterday when he was asked about how comfortable he is this year versus last year. You seem a little bit more comfortable out there. Guys are saying how you look more comfortable. Guys are saying how you say you're more comfortable. Are you more comfortable? It's one of those types of, and he's just like, oh, for sure. Oh, absolutely. I am absolutely more comfortable. And you want to hear that from a player going into his second year, but you specifically want to hear that about a player that's going to be coming into his second year and now being asked, along with Jalen Carter, going to be asked to step in and fill a huge role. Like, in all honesty, I see Jordan Davis taking over for Javon Hargrave. I see Jalen Carter taking over for Fletcher Cox and being able to spell Fletcher Cox more as the season goes on. That's the way I see this working out this year. Now, in the future, it might be the other way around, but this year, I think you're going to see definitely defensive fronts where you're going to see Cox and you're going to see Carter in there at the same time. You're going to see Carter and you're going to see Jordan Davis in there at the same time. That's going to happen throughout this year. That's going to be part of their rotation, as we all know too well what the Eagles like to do. Milton Williams, obviously, is going to be in that mix as well. But specifically, Jordan Davis is a guy that played well at the start of the season, got hurt, struggled a little bit coming back from injury, got his snap count up there, then back down, then up there, and it was kind of back and forth, especially with the Eagles going out there in win-now mode, as they should be, with Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph, and making sure after that dreaded game against the Washington Commanders, where Fletcher Cox was out there for like a record number of snaps, that he was looking every ounce of old. Definitely worn down. The Eagles needed to go out there and make sure he got some help. They got that help last year. This year, I do think Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis are going to be that help. But listening to Jordan Davis yesterday talk about how serious he is taking this role, about making sure that he was in tip-top condition coming into training camp so that when it was time to get into game shape, he was already in regular general shape. His conditioning was up. But until you get out there, and he said this yesterday, until you get out there and you're moving 600 pounds worth of offensive linemen, then, yeah, you want to make sure that you're in tip-top physical shape before you get into football shape. Tip-top physical shape certainly helps you get into football shape. So Jordan Davis was talking yesterday about how whether it was an exercise bike, whether it was taking a walk, whether it was a full regiment workout, that's what he did every day of the offseason to make sure that he kept his heartbeat going. Making sure he was getting that heartbeat up, that blood pressure up. Make sure that he was out there, making sure that he was staying in the best possible physical condition before he went out there and started trying to move bodies around and getting in football shape. That, to me, is a young man taking everything serious. And listening to him talk about it yesterday was a thing of beauty. It was a welcoming sight, and it was welcoming to my ears. After that, one of the other best stories is the guy that's going to be playing right next to him. And I love how they have their group chat going. They can all share their stories with the Georgia Bulldog text chain that they got going on there with all the Eagles. And there's a lot of them, Georgia Bulldogs. But listening to people talk about Jalen Carter, going back, and we talked about this a little bit last week, where in OTAs, when Nick Sirianni was asked about Jalen Carter's health and his conditioning, hey, how's he doing? Well, this, that, and the other. And he kind of was, dancing around some answer there. When somebody asks you how your first-round pick and your 10th overall pick is doing, conditioning-wise, when there's already been questions about conditioning and the pro day wasn't exactly sharp, hey, how's it? There's off-season distractions. Hey, how's he doing in shape? Great. That's all I want to hear. Lie to me. Lie to me. Don't dance around. So, training camp, one of the number one things I was looking for was Jalen Carter and whether or not he was going to be in shape and whether or not he was, fail conditioning test, God forbid, one of those things. Not the case at all. It's been the complete opposite. It was worth noting in OTAs, and now it's not even a story in terms of the negative side of it, because it could be real negative, very negative. Failing the conditioning test, doesn't look good. Reports are he doesn't look good. Players are saying, he's got a lot of work to do. No, he's great. It's Jason Kelsey talking about how Jalen Carter is already being talked about by your guards about how, all right, well, how are we going to do it on this play? How do you want to do it on this play? He's a big part of what they have to talk about offensively, to get ready, to block, to stop. And the conditioning, he's set, man. You're hearing guys like Fletcher Cox talk about how great he could be. Same thing with Jordan Davis. You're hearing guys the work ethic is there, the focus is there for a young player like that. Jalen Carter saying over the weekend that he wants to be defensive rookie of the year. They asked Nolan Smith the same question. I guess there's a difference between 10 and 29. What do you want to be? I just want to help my team win. That's a good way to not put a bullseye under back there, Nolan Smith. I love it. He is so Brandon Graham. It's hilarious. But Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, listening to the players talk about them, listening to them speak as well. Hey, still have a lofty goal of being Defensive Rookie of the Year. Good for you. That's fine. I want you to have that goal. I want that for you, because if you're Defensive Player of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, or Player of the Year, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. If you're a Defensive Player of the Year too, hey, that chances are you've helped your team tremendously. So yeah, go for it. You go get those. Go get that hardware, and then just go get a ring and give us a parade, and all will be right with the world. But listening to the way the players are speaking about these two players in particular is a beautiful thing. I absolutely love it. And for me, when the veteran players acknowledge the step forward, and you as a player acknowledge how much more, I don't want to use the word comfort because that was last year's buzzword. You don't want to be comfortable. Comfort is poison. Jalen Hurts called it rat poison. All that confidence and all the preseason predictions and all that stuff. But listen to these guys. It does sound like they are just ready to go. And it's all talk. It's all practice until they step on the field. But right now they have me at this point in the best possible spot. And one of the things that I think shouldn't be lost, and I haven't really seen it acknowledged, but there's been a couple of stories out there about Nick Sirianni. First off, the bullhorn. Love it. Find it fantastic. But Nick Sirianni apparently being a little bit more animated this year than he was last year. Last year, Nick Sirianni stopped practice when he saw too many dropped footballs. When he saw guys, I guess, just going through the motions. Like, he pulled a high school Harry card, and 15 minutes into a practice session last year, blew a whistle, ran onto the field. If you guys don't want to get serious, we don't got to be here. So if you're going to be here, we're going to be serious, right? It was like one of those deals. And then this year apparently is he's not stopping practice, but he's on the bullhorn. He's getting in players' faces. Said yesterday that he's either going to correct it with a slap on the butt or, getting on a guy. And to me, that sounds like last year you had talk about how good this team was going to be. And you know what they did? They fulfilled a lot of that. They played in a Super Bowl last year. This year, they're coming off a Super Bowl. It's not just talk. It's this team was there. And I know Nick Sirianni talked about last year is last year. I know Jalen Hurts has talked about how last year is last year. And you got to start all over again. It's a brand new season. Last year does not matter. But that doesn't mean it didn't happen. So Nick Sirianni being extra aggressive, if that's the case, he said he doesn't feel like he's any more animated than he usually is. But I go back to last year when he stopped practice. Now, I don't know if he's doing that this year, but here's what I do know. There's a lot of reports out there about him being a little bit more aggressive as a coach. And I don't know if that's his way of saying, hey, guys, the Super Bowl is over. There's a huge target on our back. So that means I got to be all over you, correcting every single little mistake. Because once that one card falls out, the whole house tumbles down. And I'm not going to let that happen during training camp. We're going to make sure all our ducks in a row. We're going to make sure that our new defensive and offensive coordinators, they have the best possible men out there playing with the most attention that they can possibly give their new coordinators, and we're going to pay attention to every single little detail. That's what I'm hoping for, and that's what Nick Sirianni does, and that's what Nick Sirianni is doing, and I want that in a head coach. A little more animated. Got a bullhorn this year. Yeah, whatever it takes, man. Make sure they're focused from jump, and if they're not going to be working their asses off every single day, if they're not going to be pushing it to the limit every single second because of their light practice schedule now, well, then why even be out there? So if players and if your strength and conditioning coaches want the practice schedule set up the way it is, which is even lighter than last year, and last year fell under a lot of criticism, if that's the way they're going to go about it, if that's how they're going to do it, then you got to optimize every moment you have out there. And that's why I think Nick Sirianni is acting the way he is at practice. But it's nothing new. It's just what you want in a head coach. And that's what I think every single Philadelphia Eagles fan would want in a head coach right now. Paying attention to every detail, being on every player, getting on a bullhorn, and make sure they're the most efficient practices, despite how few and far between the practices are going to be going into the season. Last year, it's even lighter than last year. So even more reason to optimize the time you have with these players. That's where I'm at right now with Nick Sirianni and his practice schedule with all these fun players at the helm. I want to swing it back to baseball for just 1 second here and get into this story with you guys with the trade deadline coming up tomorrow. So a lot of teams obviously are in the situation of, are we buyers or sellers? The Angels literally made that decision last week, and now they decide to be buyers. So the Phillies are in a situation here where they're going into the deadline tomorrow. Now, hopefully they beat the Marlins tonight. Hopefully the Diamondbacks lose, and the Phillies will be back in the wild card spot. They're a half game out of the wild card right now. So hopefully everything's good. Taijuan Walker pitches well tonight. They win that game tonight. But Phillies right now are a half game out of the wild card spot. They are trailing the Marlins, the Brewers, and the Giants. And they got a Giants series coming up here. So there's no more pivotal time for a trade deadline to come than right now, than these series, and also these series to happen at the time they're going to happen. There's a couple of names still out there. One of the names is Tommy Pham. Very interested in Tommy Pham possibly coming here and being that right-handed bat for the Phillies. Would not cost you much, but if there is that market out there, as John Morrissey did point out, saying that the Yankees, the Marlins as well, the Blue Jays being along with the Phillies as teams looking for right-handed bats, Tommy Pham, there's a market right there, and the Mets are going to look to capitalize and pit these teams against one another. Canna is also another name that is out there right now for the Phillies to potentially go after. But these are the names, or these are the teams that are very much interested in making acquisitions. And the Mets could also be trading Justin Verlander as well. So that's where we sit right now with this Phillies club. Both Tommy Pham and Mark Canha are older players, 34 and 35 years old, respectively. Pham, the better of the two, I think, by far. And what you can be getting is simply a guy to go out there in an outfield position in both Canha and Canha can also play first base, and Canha to go out there and potentially be guys that could get on base, certainly 340 on base percentages around there, and not a lot of pop when it comes to Canha. Really not that much with Tommy Pham either, but definitely guys that can come in here and be helpful. But for me, if it's one of these two names that the Phillies could be going after, I'm getting Pham. That's the name of these two that I would want by far. The interesting thing, Yohan Rojas has gotten a little bit more playing time over the last couple of days. And I found it interesting that the Phillies started so late with that process, considering it was about a week since Dave Dombrowski said that, hey, maybe Yohan Rojas is that right-handed bat we've been looking for. And then he barely played for about a week. And then in this series, he gets a couple of starts under his belt. He goes out there, plays good, plays well in center field, except for that error in the seventh inning yesterday. But couldn't lay down a bunt. Well, he laid it down off his foot, actually, and reached base, so that was good. But they need to see if they have a guy that can come in there and hit with some pop. And right now, I don't know if they have that guy that can come in there and hit with some pop and play the outfield positions. So the Phillies have a lot of work to do in the next 24 hours here to make this team a little bit better. If there's any, it's not even a silver lining. It's not even good news. But if you're going to draw any drop of positivity from this Pirates series, you know what it's going to be? It's going to be, yeah, we're not ready to win yet. So we need to go out there and make sure we get some help. That's something that I hope Dave Dombrowski, I don't know if it already settled in. I don't know if it's already occurred to him. But if I'm Dave Dombrowski and I look at this series with the Pirates, I'm going, yeah, we're going to need some help. You handed the Pirates 2 games. They tried handing you 2 games. You didn't want to take it. Tried handing you 3, as a matter of fact. You only took 1. Thanks, Pirates. Let me tell you about the great people at Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right there on Jewelers Row. For over 40 years, Steven's in the love business in Philadelphia, helping people get engaged and fall in love. Steven Singer Jewelers, one place, one price, home of the perfect price. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you about the great people at Manscaped. Manscaped.com, the leader in below-the-waist grooming. Join 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped, especially their Platinum Package 4.0, which includes their best hygiene bundle yet. It includes their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, as well as their Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer. And yes, they come with skin-safe technology that helps you reduce the risk of nicks, so you can manscape with confidence and comfort. So check out Manscaped at manscaped.com. How about Freestone Farm CBD? FreestoneFarmCBD.com. You'll love their tropical tasting Bayox that clocks into the chart-topping 24.1%, and Super CBD, which is half Hindu, Kush, and 21%. Genetics of these guys are off the charts. So try Freestone Farm CBD at FreestoneFarmCBD.com. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Let's get into the chat check. I need to see how you wonderful people are doing on this fine morning. despite the fact that the Phillies were terrible at baseball. Let's start it over in the Farzy Show chat. Sean Kilrain, what's going on? April, good morning. Sean Gillespie, good morning. How you doing? Mike Fuji, what's going on? Sean Kilrain, Nick Castellanos since July 4th. Oh, these numbers are terrible. I don't even want to read them. 10 for 84, 32 strikeouts, hitting 119 with a 159 on-base percentage. Gross. Worst player in baseball with a minus 1.1 WAR, F4, excuse me, during the stretch. Sean Kilrain, that is atrocious. How about Nick Castellanos and his comments after Saturday night's game? Guys aren't throwing me strikes because they know I'm pressing. Why would you say that? Why would you say that? Don't say that. Why would you? Don't say that. Why would you say? Don't say that. I was like, I don't think you're supposed to. You know the microphone's on, right? Yeah. Who are you? You told the media that? I know it was against a crafty lefty yesterday in Hill, but if a player says that, if that hits the manager's ears, there's no way he should be in the lineup the next day. That is begging for a day off. That is, I am in my own head right now. Please, God, help me. But he didn't. He was in there. And I know it was a tough lefty. It was a crafty lefty. Rich Hill is the definition of a crafty lefty. I know we make fun of like there's never a crafty righty, but there's a crafty lefty, and Rich Hill is that guy. All right? He is definitely that guy. And he, for a good part of the game yesterday, really had the Phillies off balance. He had him guessing. A couple of good guesses there. Alec Boehm was able to pop a hanging curveball, I believe it was, opposite field for changeup for a home run. Opposite field for the 2-run home run, which was fantastic. A couple of guys getting hits yesterday. Boehm with that home run. Castellanos did get a hit yesterday. Trey Turner got another hit yesterday. So, like, some good things there, definitely. But after Nick Castellanos says that over the weekend, I don't know how you put him in the starting lineup. Well, the only way you put him in the starting lineup is if you're facing the lefty, and you were yesterday. Morning, Sean Gillespie. April, how much do you think the terrible calls at the plate were a factor? I think a huge factor. Oh, in terms of taking Christopher Sanchez out of the game, like balls and strikes? I think it was a factor, simply because, well, actually, the pitchers were getting calls yesterday. So I think that would aid actually leaving them in. They were atrocious, very inconsistent. But the strike zone was wider and longer than normal. So that obviously helps a pitcher. But, man, Hill was throwing that curveball yesterday that was coming back in the top of the zone and maybe catching the outside corner on a couple of them, and then a couple of them definitely missing. The high fastball, it was a Little League strike zone last night. Or yesterday afternoon. It was knees to shoulders. And the Phillies never adjusted, and the Pirates didn't adjust. It was for both sides there. And it was another walking, talking endorsement. Now, who was it? Seiya on Friday night? I actually complimented. I thought he did a wonderful job behind the plate for both teams. Pitches that were on the corner were on the corner. Pitches that he called just at the knees were at the knees. Pitches at the letters perfectly were at the letters perfectly. Like, he did a great job. Yesterday was atrocious. Jimenez, I believe it was. Terrible behind home plate. So I will say that. All good players are going off the board. All good players are going off the board. That's what it feels like. Damn you, Cubs. No Cody Bellinger. Yeah, shake that tree. Wow, bright, ugly colors? What? You talking about the Kelly Greens there? Sean? What? They're beautiful. PJ, thumbs up, thumbs down on the Kelly Greens. Damn right, thumbs up. Thank you. Mihai Sanchez, what's going on? Oh, I see the word disgrace leading. Disgrace how Sanchez doesn't have a win despite being a sub-3 ERA. Stott and Marsh need to start every day. Part of being everyday players is starting against lefties too. August, here we come. I am 1,000% with you, more so Stott than I am Marsh. Marsh has struggled against lefties. Stott has not. Every once in a while, you're going to get a day off. That day off is going to come against lefties more often than not. My bigger problem is that you had a winnable game. You had a winnable game yesterday. You lost it. You had a winnable game Saturday. You blew it. People have been out for a few hours waiting to buy the Kelly Green jerseys. Yeah. Me, I say, just how about those Kelly Greens? Absolutely. Let's go through it real quick with Christopher Sanchez, because this is bothering me a little bit here. I mentioned his last two starts. Christopher Sanchez goes up against the Orioles, goes 7 innings, 2 runs, both of them earned, 4 hits on 2 runs. Okay, 2 runs on 4 hits. 73 pitches yesterday. The game before, he was at 92 pitches against the Orioles. So in his last 2 starts, 12 innings pitched, 2 runs, 4 hits, 2 walks, 3 hit batters. The game before that, 5 innings, 1 earned run, 3 strikeouts, 6 hits. He always gives you a chance to win a ball game, and the Phillies have won ball games that he started. The last one coming against Tampa Bay Rays, that's how far back, almost a month ago, where he went 6 innings and 1 run, but that game went to 11 innings, so he didn't get the win there. But that is terrible. 2.66 ERA, man. Yesterday, I think it was Corey Simon who put it out there that he's got like the best whip in baseball since becoming a regular starter. And the Phillies can't get him a win. Oh, goodness gracious. That is just so terrible. Yeah. All right, what else we got? People now, how about those Kelly Greens? Spike Fuji, we're getting Kelly Green jerseys today. Not me. Sean Gillespie, I'm not a fan of the Kelly Green. It's too bright. Highway workers should be only ones wearing those. Sean, I remember being blind to them as a kid. Even had a tight helmet in those colors. You should have a tight helmet in those colors. Those are great. Jason on the Jacob Media chat. What's going on? How you doing? I'm just great. Do you think the Phillies will trade for someone legit? I don't. I think they're going to make a trade. I think it's going to be a low-level trade. If they make a trade, if the Phillies do end up making a trade here of significance, even Tommy Pham, for instance, I find it very troublesome that there's no reports out there that are hot to trot. Like John Morrissey right now is mentioning the Phillies. He's mentioning the Phillies. That's it. It's not even a direct Phillies are in conversation with the Mets for Tommy Pham. It's not happening. And then like you follow the Max Scherzer trade, and it's like Max Scherzer and the Mets and the Rangers are having a conversation about Max Scherzer. And then it was like talks are intensifying, trade is done. There has been no first step with the Phillies. That is extremely off-putting. Off banana pudding, as a matter of fact. It is very, very troublesome. Very, very troublesome. And the Angels are a team that I really find interesting because they literally declared last week that they weren't trading Shohei Ohtani. They were going to hold on to him. So that was their declaration. So the Cubs, and as I said earlier, I was hoping the Phillies would be able to shake that tree. But the Cubs are out there winning ball games now. The Cubs are in a really interesting position where they all of a sudden win 8 games in a row. And they tell ESPN they're not going to be trading Cody Bellinger. Now they think they're in the hunt. Now they think that this is going to be a wave that they could ride for the foreseeable future and possibly make the playoffs. This is the problem when you expand wild card standings, when you expand the playoffs. A team like the Cubs right now, true, they're only 3.5 games out of a wild card spot. And August is just about to get underway. So if you really feel like you're hitting your stride and Cody Bellinger has been absolute fire since the All-Star break, you're not going to dump Cody Bellinger. That sucks for the Phillies. That's why Tommy Pham is probably your best option right now. Duvall, I know a lot of people are talking about Duvall. No, thank you. No, thank you. I'd rather ride with Yohan Rojas. I know it's a name that a lot of people have put out there. I'm good. I'm good on that. I think the Phillies have a better team than what they've put on the field. That might be me talking myself into simply adding a bullpen arm. But in all honesty, I think every day, and I still don't know why it's not every day, but Bryce Harper should be at first base every day. I understand. Now, when I say every day, I'm going to go ahead and say 6 out of every 7 games. Kyle Schwarber should be your designated hitter. Brandon Marsh should be in left field. And you should have Yohan Rojas as your center fielder and 9-hole hitter. That should be every day. That should be the goal, to have that lineup every single day. Speaking of the lineup, I haven't even mentioned this. I didn't mention it. We finally did it, folks. Trey Turner batted 7th in the order. We did it. One game was 7th, the other game was 6th. No, 5th or 6th, whatever it was, yesterday. We finally did it. Congratulations, everyone. We finally have him out. Now I just need to have Bryson Stott back in the lineup, and hopefully that'll be tonight, and the world will be a better place. But no, I don't think the Eagles make the Phillies make a big trade there, unfortunately. Dank Kelly Green burrito. Kelly Green needs to be a primary primary Eagles color. Make it happen, Lori. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be the specialty jersey, and I think that's the way it's going to go. Cardinals, yes, they are making many changes here. What's going on, Jacob Media, now that I put the quarter in there? Angels are stupid. I agree, Jason. Cards first baseman, Goldschmidt? I don't think that's that would be a significant trade. And the Cardinals right now, the Mets are on the fire sale, so everyone's trying to tap into them. I don't see a big trade going down. I think a big trade for the Phillies is Tommy Pham. But I don't think that's a big enough deal, unfortunately. Thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys are great, as per usual. How about just a better lineup from your manager in front office? There we go. Phillies back at it tonight. 6:40 start time in their last game before the trade deadline. Taijuan Walker gets the start against Edward Cabrera. Taijuan Walker, ladies and gentlemen, is coming off a much better start. He's been up and down in his last 4 starts. He is coming off a 5 2/3 inning performance, allowing 2 runs on 6 hits against the Baltimore Orioles in a 4-3 win. He also walked 3 batters in that. Before that, he allowed 4 runs over 6 innings. Over 6 innings of work with 6 hits against the Milwaukee Brewers. So hopefully you have the good version of Taijuan Walker taken to the hill tonight for the Phillies. As for Edward Cabrera, the right-handed pitcher for the Marlins, he'll get the start. The 25-year-old righty. He's 5-6 on the season with a 4.74 ERA. He is coming off a start against the Tampa Bay Rays, where he only went 2 innings, allowing 3 runs on 4 hits back on the 25th. So that's what he has in store for everyone with the Phillies. He did face the Phillies earlier in the season, all the way back in April, and that was a 5-inning performance, allowing 2 earned runs on 7 hits. That game was won by the Marlins 3-2 in extra innings. That's where we're at. All right, we'll wait with bated breath to see where the Phillies go on the MLB trade deadline tomorrow, and we'll see if today bears any fruit for at least some rumors popping out there about where the Phillies could be going in the not-too-distant future. So let's keep our fingers crossed with all that. Also, one more thing for the Morning Rush, brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. One of the things I wanted to mention, Darius Slay addressed the media yesterday, or 2 days ago, rather, and he did talk about Matt Patricia and the relationship there with Matt Patricia. Apparently, the two sat alone in a room and had a conversation. They didn't specifically say an airing of grievances, but I think they agreed to disagree. I think they agreed to agree on the idea that they were there to help each other and help the team win. And anything that happened in Detroit was left in Detroit. If it happened in Detroit, it stays in Detroit. It's not coming to South Philadelphia. It's not coming to the NovaCare Complex. It's not coming to the lake. So that was at least one positive thing to hear. To hear it straight from the horse's mouth in Darius Slay that him and Matt Patricia are just all good. Just all good. They want to help each other get better. So there's that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, all that jazz and all that fun stuff. Also, the people on the podcast, thank you once again. Jim Hyde, produced the program, did a wonderful job as per usual. You guys are great. I'll be back with you guys tonight for the Jacob Media Fightins post-game show after the Phillies get back on the winning track. Right? Right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. See ya.